Imagine waking up in a country where politicians who say no to war are assassinated in broad daylight, where newspapers justify the killers, where students are taught that dying for the empire is the highest honor. This was not fiction, this was Japan in the 1930s. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Japan was not unique, it was simply a perfect example. Today, we are not analyzing a country, we are analyzing a system. Militarism, not strong defense, not patriotism, but a system where the military becomes the moral center of society. And once that system activates, it is very difficult to stop. Every nation has an army. Militarism begins when the army becomes sacred. When strength equals virtue, doubt equals betrayal, security overrides liberty. Militarism does not start with tanks. It starts with fear. Fear of enemies, fear of weakness, fear of decline, and fear is powerful. Because fear unites people, but it also silences people. Across history, militarism follows a pattern. Let's break it into three mechanisms. First, the threat amplifier. A crisis appears, sometimes real, sometimes exaggerated. Economic collapse, external rivalry, national humiliation, leaders amplify the threat. Emergency becomes permanent, security becomes the highest value. When fear dominates politics, people accept extraordinary measures. Second, the resource trap. War consumes resources. Oil, steel, money, lives. To sustain war, a nation expands. Expansion creates more enemies justify more war. It becomes a pyramid scheme of violence. War feeds itself. Third, the brake removal. Healthy societies have brakes, free press, independent courts, opposition voices, civilian control of the military. Militarism removes these brakes. Not overnight, but gradually, critics become traitors. Debate becomes weakness until one day, there is no one left to say stop. In the 1920s, Japan was modernizing. Democracy was growing, cities were vibrant. Then came 1929, the Great Depression. Exports collapsed, farmers starved. Political leaders looked weak, the military offered clarity. In 1931, officers staged a fake railway explosion to justify invading Manchuria. Tokyo did not authorize it. But Tokyo did not punish it either. Then came assassinations. Prime ministers killed by extremists. In 1936, young officers launched the February 26th incident. Cabinet members murdered in their homes. The rebellion failed. But something irreversible happened. The brakes were gone. Politicians became afraid of the army. And fear reshapes power. Japan entered the resource trap. War in China required oil. Sanctions cut off oil. Oil shortages justified attacking Southeast Asia, which required neutralizing the United States. The decision in 1941 was not sudden madness. It was the final step of a system already in motion. Militarism does not explode, it accelerates. After World War I, Germany faced humiliation. Hyperinflation destroyed savings. Unemployment soared, national identity fractured. The threat amplifier activated, political leaders promised restoration of pride. Military rebuilding created jobs, unity formed around strength. Opposition parties were crushed, courts aligned. Press controlled, brakes removed. The pattern was different in culture, but identical in structure. Fear, expansion, silencing dissent. Again, militarism felt necessary, until Europe burned. Militarism is not limited to dictatorships. After World War II, United States entered the Cold War. A real threat existed: nuclear weapons, global rivalry. Defense spending became permanent, millions of jobs depended on it. In 1961, President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex. His concern was not tyranny, it was dependency. When preparation for war becomes an economic engine, peace becomes economically inconvenient. This is slow militarism, quieter, less dramatic, but structurally familiar. Permanent threat, permanent readiness, permanent expansion of influence. The loop can exist even inside democracy. Militarism persists because it feels powerful. It simplifies the world, it creates clear enemies, clear heroes, clear purpose. In uncertain times, clarity is comforting. Militarism provides identity, belonging, mission. It turns anxiety into action, and action feels better than doubt. That psychological reward is the true fuel. In the short term, yes, militarism can unify a nation, boost industry, accelerate technology, create rapid growth, but long term, it narrows thinking, it punishes creativity, it makes compromise impossible, and eventually it makes war inevitable. War resets the system, often violently. Today, almost every nation claims to prefer peace, yet global military spending remains extremely high. Security rhetoric dominates politics. Leaders gain approval by appearing tough. Threat narratives spread quickly. The language changes, the structure does not. Militarism begins when a society decides that security is worth any cost. It accelerates when people trade liberty for certainty, and it becomes unstoppable when the brakes disappear. Militarism is not insanity. It is a feedback system. Fear amplifies threat. Threat justifies expansion. Expansion removes restraint. Restraint once gone rarely returns voluntarily. The most dangerous moment is not when the tanks roll, it is when a nation applauds the removal of its own brakes. History does not repeat because people are evil, it repeats because systems are seductive. And systems, once activated, prefer momentum over wisdom. This is not moral judgment, it is a structural observation. The question is not whether nations need defense. They do. The question is, can a society stay strong without falling in love with war? Thank you for watching Historithm. See you in the next timeline.